So what's really unique about this technology, and we've talked about it, I think, in a previous podcast, is that unlike other kind of technologies, this one is right in the human cognition same area, right? So
Right.
there's a real high risk of substitution, right? Just having to do it. So when I think we have to have a different mental model than we have, and what we have honestly, I you have to treat it as a tool. If you start thinking about it, I think as a true partner or as like a colleague or I think there's room there to now where you start to develop trust that you might not want there. You also might think of a process where you're substituting that tool as a partner as part of your process when it probably shouldn't be. It's a tool. So when I think about this is, we can still think about it as forming a team, and think about the idea of, why do we form teams? It's because everybody has strengths and everybody has weaknesses, and we form teams so we can offset each other's weaknesses with each other's strengths. So same way here, between human and machine. The machine can crunch all kind large amounts of data, right, pretty quickly, that is hard for us to do. So let's leverage that capability, right? But it doesn't know what truth is. It can't exercise human judgment, right? So those things reside with the human. So we just have to kind of think through that and not really start thinking about this as like a colleague, right? It's a tool, and just like any tool, we have to know how to use it. So that's where I think we really have to start thinking about these or this technology, because if we start thinking about it as, it's my colleague that's helping me out, I think we start attributing that certain uh, things to that end up hurting us in the long run, right? The person that's accountable for anything this produces is the user. It's not the tool, right? So if we start attributing as a partner, we start attributing that we take less responsibility of whatever it produces, and we don't want. Again, my thought is I don't want that to happen. The user of the tool should have full accountability, or has to have full accountability. So we have to make sure we are thinking about this tool in the right way right from the beginning. Otherwise,
Mm,
I think we walk into maybe some pitfalls that we have to be careful of.
right, exactly. Because then people start thinking it's gonna be like the Terminator movies, right? Where all of a sudden they're gonna take over the world. And yeah, I try not to think about that. I'm like, no, I don't think
Uh,
it's gonna get to that point.
yeah, we're
But
we're a long way
you
off.
hear
Like
people.
honestly, when you say artificial intelligence, I think that's kind of a misnomer there,
I
because
think so
it's not
too.
really intelligent. It's statistical probability based upon patterns, right? So, um,
Right.
yeah. a- Again, I mean, it produces some pretty decent results, and I do have like some concerns about when you start letting an autonomous system make its own decisions. There, I think we're a long ways where we start allowing that to happen, at least in my mind. But yeah, that's where I think there's a little bit of concern there. Um, but we just have to develop those mental models and how we effectively collaborate with this technology. And I am using,
Right.
maybe I shouldn't use the term collaborate. I should just use the term use. How do we apply
Yeah.
this tool? It was maybe the better way to say it, so we don't start thinking of it as a person.
That's true because it could, yeah, you can start to muddy the waters a little bit, right? When we start doing that, yeah, it's easy to think of this as an intelligent tool. And
Y-
yeah, that's
Yeah,
or
because
like you said, a partner. Yeah,
yeah, there's a
it's
lot,
true.
there's research out there that shows, right, that the trust level kind of is like an arch, like if you graphed it. So no trust, you're super skeptical, right? You don't get as good as results. And then if you're like too trusting, you don't get as good as results, right? But it's a little somewhere in the middle. So just being able to understand and work with it as it's a tool. And I think if you just take that kind of perspective and you start applying that to your processes, I think you'll see where, you start using it in a way that, you're not gonna use something where it has a hallucination or it makes up something. You're gonna catch it when it's doing that.
Right.